Welcome to your Chips and Salsa show. This is Don Jorge Alacran. For all the chipsters, this is Tuesday, and we have a guest today that's going to really inform you. This is the sheriff of Maricopa County. And first we'll go to Cheryl Rosado to mention our sponsors, and then we'll go to Sheriff Jerry Sheridan.
Thanks, George. Yes, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Canaloo Air for air conditioning and plumbing, National Automotive Repair, an honest mechanic, One Team, One Dream Foundation, and AZ Injection for Perfection for body contouring and lash extensions. And we really appreciate them for their continued support of our program, allowing us to do things like interview the wonderful Maricopa County Sheriff, Jerry Sheridan. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you. I don't think anybody's ever said the wonderful sheriff. So that's very nice. Thank you.
So you're here. I know that you've kind of been part of the buzz lately, people talking about a big community meeting that happened recently. Unfortunately, it was on a church night, so I couldn't go. I wanted to go. I saw that some of the supporters had made signs, and they were going to express support for your office. And this is an ongoing issue. I asked the sheriff right before we started, was that the first community meeting? And you let me know that no, they've been happening for about over a decade now.
That's correct. And just so the viewers understand, the part of the court order with the Melendrez case was the judge ordered the monitor to have meetings on a quarterly basis in Maricopa County to discuss the issues that the public has with some of the things that were going on at the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. So these started about 11, 12 years ago, and they've been happening every quarter. Back when I was working there, we did those for 3 years, and then I was out of office for 8 years. And so when I first came back, and I believe it was in February, we had the first meeting where I actually attended as the sheriff in Guadalupe.
And this is for issues that were the public had with the sheriff's office from years ago. It's not anything that is a current complaint or issue. So
again, to give the viewers a little context of why this is going on. In 2007, there were some traffic stops made that the ACLU filed a class action suit alleging MCSO of racial profiling and racial bias. And eventually that went to trial. I believe that was in 2012. And so this has been going on for a very long time. And out of that trial, the judge issued the order to have these quarterly meetings so we could get feedback from the public.
He didn't put an end date to how long the monitoring needed to be? No.
What he did was said that we needed to comply with about 360 paragraphs of his orders. There's been several orders since the original one. And we have to be in 93% compliance with each section for 3 years in order for it to go away.
Okay. Who makes that determination? The monitor?
It's actually the court monitor that reviews all the documentation that we collect. And believe me, we collect a ton of documentation, including for every traffic stop. And the body cam footage has to be reviewed, the information that the deputies collect from the traffic stop. That traffic stop is then reviewed by a supervisor, every traffic stop we make. And we make over 20,000 traffic stops in the sheriff's office a year. So each one of those requires a lot of paperwork. And so the monitoring team looks at that, plus many other paragraphs. Like I said, there's 360. That's only one paragraph that we have to maintain that compliance with.
Okay, so that monitor is the person that's being paid.
Correct.
And they're also the person who gets to decide how long then they're going to be paid.
Pretty much. That's the way it works.
It's not a conflict of interest that anyone...
you would think, because there's no
Because they determine it, right?
They're the ones that determine it. Correct.
And they get paid for this. They get a salary. They didn't want to talk about their salary because they said it's.
You did go to the meeting, right, George?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were talking about that. Somebody asked about their salary, and they said, "Well, it's confidential, and it's an agreement that we made." And they never did want to discuss their salary. They probably get paid quite a bit, and to lose that, I could see them trying to.
Well, if we're the taxpayers paying their salary, why is it a secret?
Well, that goes back to the early days of the litigation back in 2012, I believe, maybe 2014, where the monitor actually requested his billing records be sealed because he didn't want to intimidate people from coming in and talking and making complaints against the sheriff's office. So the judge agreed, and he has sealed the monitor's billing records. Back then, I think the monitor was charging maybe $750,000 or so. I'm guessing on that, but it was about somewhere around there. And now the annual bill is averaging about $3 million a year.
Wow.
He has a team of people. It's not just him, but he has a team. He has a team of people. I think there's 12 people on his team.
Is he hiring? Just kidding.
Wow. That's got to be changed. That's got to change. We have to attend more of those meetings.
Do we know when the next one is?
We don't, because we don't control those meetings. It's
Okay.
The monitor does. But in the next quarter, so 3 months from now, the monitor will be here, and the week that they're in town, that we'll have that meeting. That's what happens every quarter.
How much notice does he give you? And do you let the public know, hey, the public meeting?
Well, you know what's interesting about that? Our public information office put out a media alert to all media outlets like we do on every meeting. And we've just had no response from the media. But I think after Wednesday evening, the fact that somebody, and what's funny about it is the monitor team accused me of organizing the response that evening. And so the reality is very simple. I knew the 3 board members were going to be there, and I got text messages from 2 other people that attended the meeting, and I think one was you.
Yeah.
And and I knew 2 other people were going to be there. So when I walked into the room and I saw about 350 people in there, and I knew most of them. You know, from being on the campaign trail, you know, I knew these people, and I was as shocked as the monitor was to see them there, because normally nobody shows up from the public to support MCSO. Normally the people that go to these meetings are people that have been going to every one of them since we started, talking about the same issues from 15 years ago or so, and issues from their issues with Phoenix PD and everything else. And so what it kind of morphed into was a bitch session against law enforcement, not just MCSO. Mm-hmm. And even that last Wednesday night, you know, this guy talks about getting stopped in Maryvale. And, well, if you know anything, the sheriff's office doesn't patrol Maryvale. Sheriff doesn't patrol in Phoenix or the other municipalities. We patrol in our unincorporated areas or places that we have contract with a local town.
And you could tell he was just there to just talk bad about Sheriff Sheridan, bringing up the fact that he worked for Joe Arpaio, but the second in command, but not the facts. If he would have said the facts, he didn't. Jerry wasn't responsible for the pulling over of vehicles and stuff. He was just second in command, but he was most of the times he was in the MASH unit. He was assigned to the MASH unit.
Even I can go back even a little further, because I didn't become the chief deputy until 2011. I was the interim chief deputy from August of 2010 to I got the job permanently in 2011. I was running the jails when all these things were happening with the enforcement of the illegal alien issue. I wasn't even involved in that at all, but everybody says I was, and I don't even try to explain to them anymore because you know what?
They don't. SB 1070 back then or something.
Yes, 1070, all those things. I was running the jails
So
at
sad,
the
I
time,
remember, I'm so
and people don't want to hear what the reality is. They want to blame me, and I've got to the point where go ahead, fine, go ahead.
He handled it so cool. He was like, just letting the guy talk, and like it didn't. It bothered me more than I think it bothered the sheriff because the guy was my ex-military, and when I got here, they kept pulling me over because of my car, and it was because of the color of my skin. Yeah, right. I don't,
Yeah.
There's more to stories that people let on. He might have made an illegal right turn, or he might have ran a stop sign, but he's not going to tell you that. He's going to tell you.
But that doesn't even matter. Even if it's 100% true that they pulled him over 15 years ago because of the color of his skin, what does that have to do with what the sheriff's office is doing today?
Well,
nothing.
Right.
So.
That is the big issue with me, and I hired Rudy Bustamante, who is involved in community relations when he worked with Phoenix PD, and he did that for 20 years. He retired from Phoenix PD, and then he went to work for ICE, and he's worked for ICE for 23 years. And what his job was is to go out and talk to the people in the community. And so I brought Rudy on board shortly after I became the sheriff, because Rudy knows everybody. He knows people on the opposition side to law enforcement, and he knows the people that support law enforcement. And what MCSO has is a perception problem. Because if people took a look at what was really happening at the sheriff's office, how deputy sheriffs handle stopping Hispanic drivers, because let's face it, that's what this lawsuit was originally all about. And what they said the other night, the monitor actually said it, that he didn't think we were in compliance with our traffic stops. Well, I don't know what compliance means when it comes to traffic stops, because we have a 4-second discrepancy between a deputy stopping a white driver and a deputy stopping Hispanic drivers, 4 seconds longer. Now, there are more law enforcement action taken, a small percentage, with the Hispanic drivers. Well, if somebody doesn't have their driver's license or whatever, they're going to get a ticket, no matter who they are. And so I can't control that outcome. But again, like I said earlier, every traffic stop is on the body camera. The deputy fills out all kinds of information after the traffic stop. Mm-hmm. And so everything's documented as to why a deputy sheriff is going to write somebody a ticket and for what. And if somebody's suspended, they get a ticket for that. But everything's documented. So there's no information that the deputies are picking on Hispanic drivers. And that's where we disagree with the monitor team, with the Department of Justice attorneys, and the ACLU, who are representing the plaintiffs' class, which originally was and still is Hispanic drivers.
Is there like a quota that they want, a percentage that they want to see, or is it really just like that time, the 4 seconds is what is the only thing that they're hanging their hat on right now?
Well, what they're saying is that we are not stopping Hispanic drivers at a disproportionately greater rate. It's just that the deputies take more law enforcement action against Hispanic drivers than white drivers. And again, that's all documented. There's no evidence that a deputy is writing a Hispanic driver more tickets because they're Hispanic. And that's where the rub comes in with how we feel things are going, and the monitor team, and of course the ACLU and the old
ACLU is never going to be
old
happy.
DOJ. I don't know what's going to happen with the new DOJ, but they would. You could never satisfy them. There's some people out there will never be able to satisfy, and that's where I say people need to stop, take a deep breath, forget about what happened in 2007, which was 18 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
And the things that are happening now, the improvements that MCSO has made in the last 12 years.
Mm-hmm. You have mentioned that, so this monitor, you said he's going to be here in that week. So obviously then that means he's not here all the time. Does he do this for this is just what he does, monitor other counties and other states?
He does. He is currently the monitor in Oakland.
Fun.
The Oakland Police Department. And he's been there for 25 years.
Wow.
And they're not in compliance either. And there's one or two other communities where he's monitors for the police departments. And I'm sorry, I don't know the names of those.
Do you happen to know, has he monitored places that have come into compliance and he left?
He was the monitor in Detroit for the Detroit PD, and it was a case where just the ACLU was the plaintiff's counsel. He had I believe it was a court order, may have been a consent decree, I don't remember, and the city. The police department believed that they were in compliance, and they called the DOJ, which was not a party to the case, but they are in it with our case. And the DOJ came in and looked at it, and they said, yes, we feel that the Detroit Police Department is in compliance, and that's how he was got done with Detroit PD.
So it is possible, but Detroit PD is not. That's not exactly a beacon of a safe city now, is it?
No, it's not. And that's one thing. Somebody asked me that yesterday. Every place across the country that they've had a monitor, whether it was from a consent decree or a court order, it has been proven that the crime rates go up and it costs more to police.
Is it because
that's what that guy
they're just
was
trying
saying.
to get in compliance?
I'm sorry.
Is it because they're just trying to get to compliance and not, you know what I mean?
Well, no, what happens is really the officers in the police department or the deputies here at the sheriff's office, they get micromanaged by the monitoring team. Mm. And so what that does, if it creates why should I do this if I'm going to be scrutinized? I might get in trouble, that kind of thing. So it puts a wet blanket on the ability and the desire of the officers to want to go do their job. And the other part of it is it creates a position where people don't want to work for that agency. Mm-hmm. And so I've got about a shortage of 120 deputies out of 740. So you can see that the less law enforcement officers you have out on the street, it's logical to assume that the crime rate is going to be higher because there's less policing.
Mm-hmm. And that's what a guy got up. I don't know, I think it was Pinell County or Cochise. And he was saying that before the law was done, put in effect, they had a pretty good representation. After the law went in effect, the sheriff slowed down more on calls and because of the paperwork involved, exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And he said that they were slower more to respond because they have other paperwork. They have so much paperwork to do because of what's put on their, what they have to do because of this monitoring system. he was glad that you were the sheriff because things had gotten improved a little bit. But he got up and he spoke about Cochise and how because of the paperwork, the backlog, and lack of sheriff deputies, things had gotten pretty bad. They couldn't get a response, and those are rural areas, I believe. And he was very sincere, and he was like thanking Sheriff Sheridan for what they're doing now, and they're doing their best to comply, but yet they have that burden on their back that they have to, I don't know, 3 sets of paperwork. I don't know how it works, but it's like a lot of paperwork and stuff that it's just ridiculous. So yeah,
paperwork is a big part of attorneys' lives, right? And they thrive on paperwork, and so the longer this has gone on, the more documentation they've required, which actually slows the whole process down in law enforcement. And I'll give you a good example of how this works in a practical situation. So you know that around the holiday times, law enforcement gets together and they do a DUI task force in a certain part of the county, right? The sheriff's office always participates in that. Well, how it works for the other police agencies, because since the court order, our success rate at catching drunk drivers has gone way down. And where we normally were the number one agency in a DUI task force to make the most amount of DUI arrests has slowed down, and a lot of times we're have the least amount of arrests. And that's because when you work for a DUI task force, you're not really interested about writing tickets. You're interested about finding drunk drivers, right? Because that's the goal. And if you work for another police agency, you pull a car over, you walk up to the car, you talk to the driver. If you don't smell any alcohol, you tell them, okay, thank you. And you get back in your car and you drive away and you go try and find another drunk driver. Well, sheriff's office, we can't just do that. So a deputy pulls somebody over, they have to fill out all the paperwork, and it takes about 15 minutes. And so they are not efficient like the other agencies. And that's what it does in every section of the sheriff's office, whether it's a deputy out in a regular normal patrol or a criminal case or all those things. Everything is scrutinized. And if a deputy forgets to fill out a check mark somewhere on a report or on a traffic citation, they're called in by their supervisor and they get counseled on it, and there's corrective notes on it, and it goes to the monitor team. And you can see where this becomes very, very micromanaging as far as the deputies are concerned, and they just don't feel excited about doing their job.
It looks like these people are looking for ways to stifle you, and they're looking to find a mistake. They're looking to find an I that's not dotted, because it's their job. They're getting paid to find faults in the sheriff's office.
Correct.
And if they don't, then they're going to lose their job. So they're going to, I don't say they're going to manufacture something, but there's ways to make it look bad for you guys. And
there's the super, super critical of those things. And there's about 360 different paragraphs we have to comply with. And as of today, we would agree, the sheriff's office, there's 7 paragraphs that we're not in compliance with. And those are administrative paragraphs. And they're not to the meat and potatoes of what this lawsuit was in the beginning about racial bias and profiling. And I'll give you a perfect example. We make about 20,000 traffic stops a year. So over the last 10 years, we'll make the math easier, right? That's 200,000 traffic stops. Of that, we've had 400 complaints from drivers that the deputy was racial profiling or bias. Mm-hmm. Every one of those was investigated, Every one of those internal investigation reports was critically reviewed by the monitoring team. And out of all that, the 400, there was an finding of sustained, which means it happened, for four drivers out of 200,000. And that there was one deputy that was responsible for 3. He was fired. There's another deputy that was responsible for the 4th one, and he was fired. So this is really where the rubber meets the road. Are we in compliance with it? Of course we are. No law enforcement agency is perfect, but also there's no law enforcement agency in this country, and I would say the world, that is under the same amount of scrutiny as the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. And yet we have this perception, like I mentioned earlier, with some members of the public that we're a racist organization. We heard that the other night, people accusing me of it. And of course, when they accuse me, they accuse
The whole department. So you say, how many are you short now, deputies?
Deputy sheriff's about 120.
120. And what about, I want to talk.
Put your mic up, George.
Huh?
Put your mic.
I want to talk about your MASH unit. You redid it, and it's I saw a picture that came out in the news one morning, and it showed people were happy to work in it. They were like, I think I saw a couple of inmates in there, and it looked like they were really enjoying helping the animals in the MASH unit.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit?
Yeah, because this is a positive thing, George.
Yes.
So
We'll end it on a positive.
I wanted to bring the positive.
So the positive thing is, I ran for sheriff, and that was part of my promise to the public that I would bring back a full-time animal cruelty unit, because there had been none. And as far as I know, still no full-time units other than the one at the sheriff's office. And I brought in one of the detectives that had probably $50,000 worth of training in investigating animal cruelty cases, because they're not the same as investigating cruelty of an elderly person or something like that. And then I also hired back one of the deputies who had retired as a civilian employee that has the same training and everything else. And I put a couple more people in there, and our MASH unit is run out of the jail. And that's where we keep when we take an animal away from somebody that's abusing them, we keep them, we rehabilitate them, and we adopt them out. And so that's a big operation that we have. And we have about 15 people assigned to that. And we also teach the inmates how to care for these animals, how to groom them. And some of them get hired by vets as vet techs. Some of them go to vet groomers, because they teach them how to groom the animals and all that stuff, and they take very good care of them.
They seem like the inmates that I saw, they seemed like they were enjoying what they were doing. They loved the animals, and they were like, they spoke highly of the MASH unit on that. It was a news shot that they did, so I think it's a great thing, and people don't realize helping animals and rescuing animals takes a lot, and it takes kindness from your heart. And then to adopt them out, you adopt them out to families that are that you vet out, and they deserve the animals. Because I know you have some animals in your farm, right?
I do. I have horses and 5 dogs. And 3 of those dogs like to sleep in the bed with Stacy and I at night. And so it gets awful crowded there every night. But, they're part of my family, and I'm doing this out of my love for those animals. And I'll tell you a real quick story is one of the things I decided to do is our own community meetings, not run by the monitor team every quarter, but we do one a month in the outlying areas where we actually police. We've been at Aguila and Levine and Gila Bend, for example, and which reminds me of this situation because we met this man at the Gila Bend meeting, and he told us about somebody he thought was abusing animals. Okay, and so we sent the detectives out there, and they found probably the most grotesque example in my 40 years in law enforcement of animal abuse. And he's sitting in jail right now, probably going to go to prison. So this is what we do. And getting out and talking to the communities that we actually police. Every time we've gone to one of those in Guadalupe, I was there. I addressed the town council last week, and all these other areas. You know what their number one complaint is with the sheriff's office? They don't have enough deputies.
Say wait times.
They want more. They want more law enforcement, and not less. Like you hear at those meetings in the city of Phoenix.
I wish you a lot of luck in hiring more sheriff. Be your budget able to sustain that, and hopefully these meetings will produce a way to get these people off your back. Like you said, you guys are monitoring yourselves before it even goes on paper, and so the deputies know what they have to do, how they have to write a report. It's a shame that you have to have somebody behind your back all the time. And now with the cameras, that is so different than 2011 when they first went into this. They didn't have the cameras.
Right.
Now they got the cameras. And I was told by the state police that works with me at the stadium, because I'm assigned a deputy. Well, not a deputy. He's a sergeant, and he's with me at all the football games that we do. Sergeant Butters, and he's got like 37 years, and he talks good about the sheriff's department, and he talks good about how you de-escalate things, and and it's just a shame to see somebody watching your back. And he talks good about the cameras. He said, with this camera, everything is recorded. He said, as soon as something's going on, I push the button. And they can't make up stories, no matter how many people have their phones, Right. That camera means so much. And, that's what.
Well, it is really a good thing because it does document what happened. And you know what? No law enforcement agency is perfect. We're made up of people, and people do make mistakes.
Yeah.
And the camera will catch those, and the camera will catch the inaccurate accusations that are made against the officers or the deputies.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck, and this is the first year or second year now?
I've been the sheriff for almost 7 months.
7 months.
Right.
I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
Because you're still, what is it, 4-year?
4-year term, and I'm so happy to be the sheriff. I'm honored that I got well over 1 million votes. Actually, 1,022,800 votes. And those are the people that support me. Some of those people were at that meeting Wednesday night. And
the thing is, they love you. I mean, they go up. Even the deputies, one deputy that went up, she was like really, really in favor of well, she's part of MCS, but she spoke very highly of you. And everybody that I speak to that know you, they just speak so highly of you, and your job that you're doing is so much different. Didn't they say that Penzone retired because of that committee that was like micromanaging him?
Well, that was one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons that I heard he did too. He was just so frustrated with his inability to be the sheriff, and all that. So what happens from the good words of the people that work at MCSO is our recruiting has gone up now, because the best recruiters we have are our own employees. And so now they're not afraid to say, hey, we got a new sheriff in town. Things are different here, and it's okay for your family, friends, and neighbors to come work here. And we have a lot of deputies and detention officers that we've hired since January in the pipeline. But the problem is it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while to process somebody to become an employee. And then once we actually hire them, it takes them a year before they're out doing the job by themselves.
And you have different, you have blacks, Hispanics, whites.
Well, that's another thing too. Our demographics at the sheriff's office pretty closely matches the demographics of Maricopa County. So we have
Good.
over 33% of our employees are Hispanic. We have about 15% that are black and other.
Thanks, Trey.
And then the rest are white, which is very closely resembles the racial makeup of the county.
Well, is there a certain webpage they can go to inquire about opportunities?
Yes, good. You were going to do a recruitment here? So yes, yes, George. So you can go to mcso.org, and there's some links on there. You can find out more about the sheriff's office, what we do, and also you can apply for a position. We're always hiring for detention officers. We're hiring for deputy sheriffs and civilian employees, like dispatchers or ID techs, people that go out to the crime scenes, and clerks and secretaries and and managers at different parts of the department. So we're always hiring, and we don't have a shortage of funding. The Board of Supervisors has been very good. And matter of fact, most of the deputies got a 20% pay raise. They'll see it on their paycheck next week. And so things are going really well there. I'm very excited about the future. And like I told somebody today, we've only just begun.
So if you got a clean record and you're a good worker and you believe in goodness and, and helping the community
Clean record.
by being an assistant or a clerk or something, go on that website and apply. We encourage you to. We got a good sheriff in office right now. Let's all support him because he's trying to do good. And I've known Jerry for a long time, and he has always done what he says he's doing. And I don't see anything bad about him. I see people chastising him because it makes the news and it makes them feel like they're important because they're throwing dirt on him, stuff that a lot of stuff made up. Thank you for coming on our show. We really appreciate your
thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. And call me anytime.
Watch your kids around water, and don't leave your pets or kids alone, unattended in the cars. It's very dangerous. It's hot out there. And be a responsible parent around pools. Thank you. Have a blessed day.